Good afternoon, dear students. We have already started the lesson Growth of Indian Nationalism, and we have also done about the how did the British introduce Western education in India and how this aroused a new spirit of awakening among the Indians. Now there are several factors which led to the growth of Indian nationalism. First is the influence of Western education. It is one of the important or the main factor for the birth of Indian nationalism. In the early part of the Christian missionaries along with some Indians took measures to revive or change the system of education in India. Then in 1835, Lord Macaulay wanted that Western education should be given to the Indians with English as the medium of instruction. Then in the year 1854, Charles Wood, president of the Board of Control, made a plan that there should be a systematic education system from primary through the high school level and then from college to the university level. It was he who also encouraged that vernacular should be at the school level and English should be at the university level, so that it becomes easy for the students to understand the education. A system of grant in aid was also had been given to the schools, and education departments in all the provinces should also be established, has been directed by the Wood's dispatch. Then the British administration had created a class of people who will be humble and ready to serve the British. Actually, the main aim of the British to give Western education to the Indians only to create a class of people who will be humble to them and will always be ready to serve to them. On the other hand, the Indians also could come in contact with such people whose ideas inspired to work for national unity and liberation of the country. That means Western education, when the Indians received, they also was able to come in contact with such people whose ideas had inspired to work for national unity and liberation of the country. So this is about the Western education, first point. Then the second point is development of means of transport and communication. It also helped in the growth of nationalism. The modern means of transport and communication broke the isolation and forced a link between the people living in distant areas. So this is the second factor. Then third factor, as we have already done, that is also the socio-religious reform movement. The introduction of Western education gave birth to a new awakening in India. A few educated and enlightened Indians like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, then Swami Dayanand, Swami Vivekanand, etc. tried to motivate public opinion against the prevalent social evils and religious superstitions. Fourth factor is the Theosophical Society. This society became a social force in India because of the efforts of Annie Besant. It was she who reminded the Indians about the richness of Indian philosophy, culture and heritage. It was she in 1916 started the Home Rule movement and spread message of self-rule among the Indians, and she was the first lady president of the Indian National Congress. So, although Annie Besant, she was a foreigner, she was an Irish lady, but it was she who had reminded the Indians about what? About the richness of the Indian philosophy, about our culture and heritage, and she took effort and it was because of her. Before that, in 1916, she started the Home Rule movement, and also she spread the message of self-rule. Self-rule means you rule by your own people among the Indians, and she was the first lady president of the Indian National Congress, which was formed in the year 1885. Then, during that time, even the Muslims, they also had awakened, and it was because of whom? Because of Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. And the center of this awakening was Aligarh College. Another factor for the growth of nationalism was the role of press. The Europeans introduced the printing press in India, and the first newspaper which was published was Bengal Gazette. It was published by James Augustus Hickey in 1780. During that time, as press was introduced, many newspapers were published, but these were all gave much importance on the needs of the Europeans, and they hardly had gave any Indian public opinion, and could be read in this and nothing could be read in these newspapers on the native people of India. So the newly educated Indians began to realize the importance of the printing press as a powerful means of mass communication. Okay, as a result, it could be seen there was a rapid growth of vernacular newspapers in India, and these newspapers voiced the sufferings of the native people and exposed the evils of the British imperialism. As a result, the British government became conscious and imposed restrictions upon the Indian press by passing different laws. You will go through the laws which are given in the book, like Censorship Act, Vernacular Press Act, and Arms Act. Censorship Act means they have put some restriction. That means you cannot write anything against the British on the newspapers. Okay, then the Arms Act. It also prohibited the Indians from possessing any arms, while this act was not applicable for the British. Then the next factor for the growth of nationalism was the growth of political association. As a result of Western education, there was a growth of modern political ideas and organizations in India. By the latter half of the 19th century, there was a great growth of political association in India. Then in 1875, an All India Association by the name of Indian Association was founded by Surendranath Banerjee, who was the first ICS officer, but he has to lose his job because of some minor reasons. By a regulation of 1876, during the tenure of Lord Lytton, the British government had reduced the age of appearing in the Indian Civil Service examination from the age 21 to 19 years, and moreover the examination was also held at London, and this also created a lot of difficulty for an Indian to get this job. So Surendranath Banerjee raised this question and organized an all India agitation against it. The success of the movement created great enthusiasm among the Indians. So the movement which was started by Surendranath Banerjee regarding this ICS examination, and when he was successful one, then it created a great enthusiasm among the Indians. During that time, Mr. Ilbert passed a bill which enabled Indian judges to try the European in criminal cases, which was not liked by the Europeans. The Europeans started movement against the bill On the other hand, the Indians supported the bill. As a result, the support for the bill intensified the spirit of nationalism. In the year 1883, Surendranath Banerjee convened the Indian National Conference in Calcutta. It was the first All India Conference which provided a base for the foundation of the Indian National Congress. Alright, so in the year 1883, Surendranath Banerjee, what did he do? He called upon the Indian National Conference in Calcutta, and it was the first All India Conference which provided a base for the foundation of Indian National Congress. So let us keep it up till here. In our next class, we will do about the Indian National Congress and then the Dadabhai Naoroji. I hope so you have understood till here, and you please go through it. The factors especially are very important, so you please go through the factors which we have done till now. So thank you all of you. Have a good day.